What up guys, MxgicIQ here, and today I'm talking about my five worst and 5 best things I like about this game, things I need to add, stuff along those lines, man. We're probably going to title this video something about things they need to add to the First Descendant. So we're live on stream too, and I'm letting chat put in their input, and I'm probably going to obviously put some of their stuff in here as well. I'm going to go over what I came up with also. We're going to start with the positives, as I don't like to start things negative, but make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. We're also going to be doing a little bit of a solo operation here as well. And just to say, I will say first off, I've been enjoying this game, and it was actually harder to come up with the list of things that I like because there's not any, I guess you could say, particular thing I could just say that I instantly just very much so stood out to me in terms of what I like. I just simply like the game. I think the gameplay loop is very addictive. It's kind of just like a Division gameplay loop for me. Depending on what game you guys come from, I assume it's a lot like other looter shooters out there as well. I do think that everything can be earned. I do think the RNG is actually decent, even though I know people have struggles with getting a lot of stuff. I think eventually in the future, I did see on the First Descendant updates, they are going to add a feature that allows you to, after a certain amount of attempts, guaranteed drop that item. And I will say, I'm happy to say that a lot of these negatives on this list are already either currently being acknowledged or solved, or have been previously solved, and are just waiting to be implemented. So hopefully we'll see a lot of these things in the near future. But let's go ahead and go over the positives real quick. So I have my 5 W's here. And number one I want to start with is build diversity. Now, obviously there's going to be a best in every single game that has builds, right? There's going to be a standout option that's going to get everything done most effectively. But I will say there is a ton of options that you can use to accomplish the same goal. Now, whether or not you'll be getting this done in the quickest amount of time is up for debate, but you will be very able to build and min-max any character you like, even to the point where I've seen recently some Eugen builds coming out as well that are actually pretty good for AoE PvE content and stuff like that. Like, people are building support characters for damage. As you see, Luna has Noise Surge. Enzo's actually a pretty good solo bossing character too, from what I've seen. So it's just kind of like you can build everything to do anything you want. Characters can be tanky, characters can be squishy. There's only really one character, unfortunately, I feel like doesn't have that much diversity, and it is Sharon. I think Sharon's kind of a standout, like purely an assassin and purely a bossing character, and she can be used for infiltrations, and we're going to get to that later, how I actually don't like how certain things are locked to certain content, but also how I do like it. Now I want to talk about first how I do like it, and we'll get into the negatives of it later. That's the second thing on my list, is specific uses for certain descendants. So I like that there's a character that gives you the vaults, but you can still do the vaults with regular characters. For example, Enzo, right? It's a support character in the game that you can use to get more rewards out of vaults, but it's not necessary. You can still open said vaults with your normal descendant, whereas Sharon is kind of the only character that can infiltrate. Now you can argue that you can quickly kill everything inside of the mission and then kind of push in there and hit one of the buttons and then like get like that 5% guaranteed drop chance, but like, let's be honest, you're not infiltrating if you don't have a Sharon, so that's slightly unfortunate. I do like the gun diversity though. Diversity is a big thing in this game that I think is very, very nice. And then that leads us into our next topic, essentially, is that everything can be earned. Now, whether it's easy or not is up for debate, but I don't know if I just have really good luck, but there's never been a time where I farmed up to 10 or more Amorphous and then went and opened it and didn't get what I want. That's another thing I would also suggest for you guys that might be struggling with RNG. Try to build up 10 or so Amorphous, and make sure you're always double dipping, because I'm going to talk about this when we get into the negatives. Sometimes this game can feel like you're farming for nothing, and we're going to talk about how to fix that as well. Alright, so on top of everything can be earned, I also want to say I love the exquisite skins and customization, specifically the Yats, all jokes aside, but I do think there's a lot of customization in this game. Unfortunately, every positive kind of has a negative counterpart, one of those being the paint specifically. The fact that you have to buy the paints multiple times to equip them, that's slightly negative, but I do really like the customization. Besides that, I think everything is absolutely amazing. They're adding in seasonal stuff too, like the swimsuits. Now, I don't know why they're neglecting my girl Freyna, but come on, give my Freyna some skin. Give Freyna an IQ gang skin. That would be dope. I would love that. That would be amazing. Getting into number 5 here, we're going to have the overall feeling of this game. I think this game has a really great feel, and it's the reason I play it so often. Honestly, there's no particular thing I can point to that is a reason as to why I play this game for over 500 hours at this point. It's just, I love the gameplay loop. I love the grind. I think everything can be played in a certain playstyle that you prefer, and I think it's just a great game. But it is time to talk about the negatives, and we will get into that in the next operation after we solo this operation with our very low health bunny build. So difficult. Getting into part 2 here, unfortunately, is a bunch of things that we need added to the game, and a bunch of things that I personally don't like. Now, number 1 is going to be the amount of gold. Obviously, every single free-to-play game needs a reason to retain player, I guess you could say playtime, and every game in general, right? And I think the main one here is gold. I think everybody's either constantly broke or constantly refarming missions, and I think that is another thing that can be kind of led into sometimes you feel like you're doing stuff for nothing. Now, specifically with the gold here, I think we were blessed with the Valby farm, and maybe that's why everything feels slower now, including EXP, including like just weapon level, any kind of XP grind, any kind of resource grind feels a little bit lackluster now, considering we had the Valby run for so long. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, which is a long time for something that's overtuned to be in the game and being used. Everybody kind of gets used to how that speed works, and when you take that away, it just feels completely different now. So I feel like I have to farm specific missions that don't really give me benefit towards anything else, and that's why I've been doing a lot of void experiments. While it's not necessarily the best thing to run, it does give you every single resource you need: Kuiper, gold, and it also gives you shards, and it just gives you a little bit more of a fun gameplay loop. I actually really enjoyed those void experiment missions, so if you're not enjoying your grind, I highly recommend you go check them out. They're going to be in like Agna Desert. I believe there's one in Hagios. I could be wrong about that one, but I know the other one for sure is in Vespers. So, and number 2 here, I think this is a big one, is going to be the craft time and limit. I don't like the fact that we can only craft 5 things. I mean, if you want to at least even make us like pay for like another like 10 caliber per socket to craft or something like that. You cannot spend your time crafting descendants or crafting a weapon and doing that. You can't craft multiple weapons at once. You have to choose either one weapon or one descendant to craft alongside your energy activator and crystallization catalyst. And if you are completely full, say you're crafting both of those items, which should be always cooking in my personal opinion, one crystallization catalyst and one energy activator at all times, if you have the blueprints for it, you can only craft one character essentially, and then your entire inventory is pretty much locked for 24 hours. I've heard a lot recently about re-rolling reactors, like we can re-roll weapons. I think that definitely needs to be added to the game, as well as an optimization like bench or something like that. For example, I played Division 2. Anything can be optimized, and then the mastery rank is pretty much the same thing as enhancing the unique ability, except they have it 25 times in that game, and it's a lot more in depth. But you will be able to optimize any item you get, because there's no reason why anybody should spend 3 or 4 days looking for a reactor just to have to wait a week if they don't get it for the reactor to come back into the rotation. If we get a decent roll, we should be able to at least optimize it or re-roll until we get said roll that we want. Okay, so one or the other. I understand it is a game that needs to retain playtime, so if they add one or the other, I think I'd be happy with it. Either a way to reroll, just like the weapons, or a way to optimize. And this next one is also a big one, specifically when it comes to farming and making the game feel like sometimes you're farming for nothing, is when you get duplicates from Amorphous. It can make the game feel really, really repetitive, and also it can make the game feel like you're kind of farming for nothing. Say if I'm going for something in Amorphous and I keep getting duplicates and I have everything else in said Amorphous, first off, I think if that's your issue, you should farm something else that gives you more chances at other items you could also be farming for, regardless of the drop rate on the item you're looking for, because you don't want your farm and your daily grind to feel like you're getting nowhere. Because you can spend 10 to 12 hours on something, not get it, and absolutely accomplish nothing, which I think shouldn't be possible in a game. And one way they can solve that is being able to crush duplicates, whether it's the stabilizers. For example, I have like 7 Lepic stabilizers. That's completely unnecessary, you know. I think that should definitely be changed ASAP, and if they did change that, it would make the quality of life a lot better. And then this is also the counterpoint to something I said about I actually like about this game. Considering I am primarily a solo player, this game feels a lot more beneficial solo. It actually feels less beneficial to be in a group, which I don't think should be the case. I think solo play should be something that's unique to people that prefer to play that way. But yeah, this game definitely doesn't encourage teamwork enough at all. at all. Like, honestly, this game needs a lot more stuff that encourages teamwork, mega dungeons and stuff like that in the future, that make defensive characters optimal so they can tank for you, give a reason for a healer to even be in the game. There's like zero reason for a healer to be in the game at the moment. Okay, getting into the next thing here. Slots and character catalyst slots and sockets and things like that is the next topic I wanted to speak on. I do want to address that they did say they are working on this. I think the next step is to make it so that each setting has individual sockets. Now, do I think they're going to make us respec and respend the same amount of time we took to build the other setting? Unfortunately, yes. Sounds like you're going to have to re-prestige your character another 8 times. That's just my assumption, though. Again, that is not a fact, so hopefully, for some reason, they make it just so that we can switch the sockets on every setting, because once you spec once, maybe they'll make it so you don't have to spec again, which would be cool. Okay, and then I also wanted to talk about this, even though you guys just saw me got a 2x on Amorphous right there. It's not guaranteed, and I want to talk about, this is kind of a smaller one, kind of, I call it the Amorphous cheese. The fact that you can select all options and still not get a guaranteed 2x Amorphous after farming said mission, unless you flip through a bunch of times and get a bunch of super annoying stuff to 230x, and even then, there's a possibility if you skip certain enemies or just walk past them or don't kill everything in every room before it disappears, that you still might not get the Amorphous 2 times, which is a little crazy. I think there should just be something as simple as a difficulty slider. Somebody mentioned earlier that you just turn up to the point where it gives you different rewards, guaranteed, as long as you complete said mission. And it would also probably make the missions harder too, and give a little bit more options in terms of optimization for these operations and difficulty levels. All right, and yeah, that's been pretty much everything. If you guys think I missed anything, please let me know down in the comments below. I'm sure I did. You know, every now and then, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm gonna miss certain topics and things like that. You guys are always welcome to come and chat with me in my YouTube or Twitch chat. We're live on YouTube pretty much 3 to 4 days a week. Twitch, we're live every single day. I'm recently not even skipping Mondays. I've just been streaming 24/7. We are live on stream right now, as we are every morning. Our stream schedule is a little later though. I think 10 p.m. is going to be a good slot. I start the stream around 8 to 9 p.m. and then we go to about 7 a.m. in the morning. I've completely reverted my sleep schedule. I'm an absolute night owl now. It's pretty bad. And these times I'm telling you are in Pacific Standard. So if you guys want to tune into the streams, they will be later and later now. I will post a updated schedule once I've done thorough testing with my viewership and things like that in the coming week. I will have a new schedule out next Monday, guaranteed, and it will not change after that point. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys could, check out my second channel, Magic FPS. We did just upload a Delta Force Hawk Ops video, and we will be streaming that as well, live on Twitch. So make sure you guys tune in. It's MxgicIQ. I appreciate you guys so much for watching another video, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.